right here, vitamin C I would think is one of the last things to buy synthetic vitamin C. I mean, not only do I think the body has a really hard time absorbing synthetic vitamin C, when you get it through a plant, it's something the body's recognized. It's something that's come into the human species for millennia. And so what a great way to get your vitamin C source, just to chew on some needles or make a little tea out of the needles. And vitamin C does degrade some so I wouldn't boil it or anything like that, but I would, steep it in hot water if you wanted to make a tea. And each species makes a different flavor, which is kind of exciting.
And so are all pine needles fine to use that way?
Yeah, the whole family, not even pine trees. Okay. I mean, more than pine trees, spruces and firs and hemlocks.
Okay.
That whole family, the Pinaceae.
Wow.
And we won't have time to go into too much today, but families are a really important place to focus on, because once you get to know a family, then you can move in and understand, broader uses of that family. And then, of course, the pine nut. I mean, my gosh, and talk about edible food. There's 100 species of pines in the world. Every one of them has edible nuts in them. Some of them are big and fat. With the stone pine or whatever is one of the biggest. Yeah. I mean, those are can get to be like that big, that high, Yeah. And then some are kind of papery. But don't be tricked. I mean, I did this long walk across California, and we got to eat from 4 different pines. 2 of them were just these thin papery, and you think, oh, there's nothing there. Boy, you take that thin little papery seed and put it in your mouth, and it just explodes with flavor. So it's an incredible source of food. And then, pines existed, another thing we won't have time to go into, but evolutionarily, pines are pre-flowering. They're a division of plants that came before the flowers. They're called naked seeds, and they have 2 kinds of cones. They have the big cones that and then there's these little ones that put out that white pollen. The time of the year that white pollen's coming off, you can gather that and shake it and gather that pollen. That pollen is really high in protein, and it also has androgenic qualities, which means it doesn't have testosterone, but it helps maintain and build testosterone in the body. And men and women both have testosterone, and men, especially in these times, are being so inundated with what we call xenoestrogens, which are estrogens that have been introduced to the environment via synthetic drugs, birth control pills, plastics, are introducing these mimics of estrogen that men are consuming, and it's knocking our whole inner chemistry out of balance. So here's something that we could be eating that would help rebalance our inner hormone levels. And the native people in the States would gather that pollen and keep it when they would go on long journeys. And if they got to where they were stuck or they needed an extra oomph to get through the night, they would eat this stuff to give them the will. Because one of the things of upping your estrogen, of your testosterone level in your body, brings on aggression and will and push and drive and those kind of things. So it's a source of giving you that extra oomph that you might need at times. So it's a tree that it's a species, genus that just keeps giving. It's an amazing, and it is at one level, looking under it, you think, oh, there isn't nearly diversity. And as Martin was talking about, these are really close together, so they really shade it a lot, so they're not letting a lot of light in. But they're also creating a really acidic substrate, so they're limiting what could be here. But through conscious choice and decision, you could put in things that thrive in acidic soil. So a whole family of plants loves acidity, which is the blueberry family. So all the blueberries and cranberries and would do really well here. And then also, there's a bunch of other things that would grow. So you could selectively, if this wasn't meant to be a gathering spot, you could selectively plant things under here that would thrive. So just to kind of bring that a little